Here we have a pre-owned 1989 Toyota MR2. This one's a T-top model. It's blue on blue cloth. And the powertrain consists of a 1.6 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine made into a 4-speed automatic transmission. Sorry about the wind noise. But as you come around to the front end here, halogen headlamps. I love the classic look here though. This car is almost 35 years old and it's actually held up pretty nicely. Just a bit of fading on the front bumper here. And as you come around the wheels, 14s. And then here's the door panel here, door lock controls, windows. And I don't know what it is with this, but something's up there and it doesn't want to necessarily go all the way down. Or I say once it goes down, it doesn't want to come all the way back up, but no big deal. Kind of expected. Power mirror controls are there, headlamp controls are here, so you can see, cut those off and those will fold back in. But there's the release for the front trunk. We do have a tilt steering wheel. And then this is how we get to the trunk in the back. Gas cap release, seat controls, that's for the seat back, seat bottom. A lot of stuff going on there. And then back here is how you get to the engine bay, so you pull that. So we'll check that out in a minute. But there's just a look at the driver's seat. Still just a cool looking car, I think. Gas cap there. And there's that 1.6 liter 4-cylinder. A pretty interesting setup. And then to the back here, there's that back trunk space. Sorry for the glare. But there's the back end there, exhaust down there. And I love how it has that kind of go-kart feel to it. It smells like a go-kart, it really does. But these are just fun little cars to have. And there's our front passenger seat. Controls are there. And we have a lockable glove compartment. This one still has the owner's manuals and such. Coming around back to the front end. Let's pull that up. Release. And there's a spare right there, jack. Let's go ahead and hop in the driver's seat. And there's a look at the T-tops from up here. I'm not gonna take those off because it's hard to kind of show that with just one hand. There's a horn there. And the steering wheel actually seems to be in pretty good shape. You're seeing just a bit of cracking here. I don't know if it's been repaired or if that's just how it's held up, but pretty impressive anyway. Hazards are there, and it's just a switch, which is pretty neat. And then our intermittent wipers right there. Oof, wipers aren't on it. And then we have our electronic control transmission here, so we can set that to normal or power by clicking. So I'm gonna leave it in power because that's how it was. Some things never change. This is the same old clock I've seen in some 2000 model Toyotas here, where you can just change the hours, minutes, set that. Pretty simple. Air vent here. We can control the AC right here. And I'm sorry about the glare. It's just kind of, with the T-tops and everything, there's a lot of light that comes in here, which I like. It's just kind of hard to film. We can adjust the temperature there, pick what direction everything's coming from, AC toggle, and then the actual fan speed. We can just pull that there. I'm gonna move the shifter out of the way. We do have a tape or a cassette player here. You can adjust volume, click to turn the audio off, and then you have your presets here. You have AM, FM tape you can adjust, and then, or go between, excuse me, and then your bass, balance, and all that can be adjusted here. Now here we have our cigarette lighter, 12 volt there. So that seemed to be working. And then for the actual transmission itself, just hold this, reverse, neutral, drive, so on and so forth. And then I believe this is the overdrive on the side here. Parking brake. Again, there are the T-tops. That's from the inside. A little storage compartment here. And there used to be a light there for the back. And then actually take the T-tops, you have to use this, pull, and then pretty easy to do. The rear defroster's over here. Blinkers are here. And then we actually have cruise control on this model, which is pretty neat. So we can just adjust that. I think you power, and then you just set it once you hit the speed you want. And then you actually have your light dimmers here for the gauge cluster. And then our key right there in the ignition. But for the fun part, let's go ahead and take this 1989 Toyota MR2 T-Top out on the road for a test drive. So starting the test drive in this MR2, very interesting, just in terms of the feel of the vehicle. I said this earlier, it kind of smells like a go-kart. It gives you that feel as well, just in terms of you can feel everything having this mid-mounted engine here. And for whatever reason, the whole vehicle is kind of wobbling. And I don't know what that could possibly be. The tires are a bit dry rotted, but nothing unreasonable. But I mean, you have a T-top set up here, a very light car. And you don't have a lot of the safety features that you have in modern vehicles, even vehicles from the late 90s. But I'm gonna give it just a little throttle here. I love the sound. It's just so much like Japanese muscle. That's the only way I can put it. It feels like a JDM car. And even though it doesn't really have too much in terms of power, it's got maybe 120 horsepower. But oh, just the sound I'm getting is so incredible. I'm gonna put the overdrive on. But just a cool experience here, having the T-tops, just everything is so open. And the ride quality itself, it's shaky, but it's not uncomfortable. The seat is actually pretty supportive, especially for something that kind of got a roadster feel to it. It reminds me of the Miata, just in terms of how those ride. You have a very small car that again gives you a go-kart feel in every good way. But it was just, this is a stock setup and everything, and just getting it up to speed was so enjoyable. Just hearing the engine, hearing the exhaust. Now I think this is a 10 or 11 grand car right now, maybe 12. And this is a classic. It only has less than 140,000 miles on it. Not in perfect shape, but definitely, I think, in turnkey shape for what it is. Just something you want to ride around in on nice days like today. And it's something that you don't see that many of. Give it a little pull here. And again, like the Miata, it's not necessarily quick, but it is fun to drive. And when you put your foot into it, even though you're not even getting 150 horsepower, it's still has its own sense of exhilaration, I think. And with you having a 1.6 liter 4-cylinder, your fuel economy is not terrible either. But these can also be pretty easily modified if you want to put an exhaust, if you want to put an intake, if you know what you're doing. It shouldn't be that difficult at all. And I do not know how to get this cruise control to work. But I think if you want something that's, again, just interesting, cool, fun, this is definitely a great option. And even though it's not fast, it'll still put a smile on your face when you put your foot into it. And then you just have that typical Toyota reliability that the manufacturer is known for with this car. Not feeling anything out of the ordinary other than just the slight vibration in the car. But again, this is so low slung, so small. There could be a number of things that are causing this, whether it's the wind, maybe a tire's out of balance or whatever. That's one thing that you might have to worry about, is any little thing you'll notice, because this is such a small car and everything's just right up on you. But again, can't complain about how much fun this car is and about just how neat it is in general. And this will bring me to the end of my review of this 1989 Toyota MR2 with T-tops.